Okay, so I'm still stuck on this Carrie Roberts testimony. So many questions. One of the things she said to Brennan was that he made it a point of when they go in the house, they have to take off their shoes, right? Because John's a neat freak, and everybody knows they have to take off their shoes. He said, did the defendant take off her shoes? Like, this is supposed to make Karen Reed look bad, right? This is what this kind of testimony is about, which he's doing on a redirect. I mean, a redirect. It's ridiculous, okay? He elicits the story, and she's like, oh, no. And he said, how do you know that? And she said, because Jen and I were sitting there, trying to get our boots off, the dutiful friends. And then the crazy girlfriend, apparently Karen Reed, just like flew past them and ran up the steps. I don't know about you guys, but if I thought my loved one was dead, all these things are going through your mind. Nobody gives a fuck about the shoes right now. Are they trying to imply she knew he was dead already and that's why she did it? No. You guys are the fucking weird ones sitting there, or you're just not getting the fucking urgency that she is feeling. They're also irritated with Karen Reed this day. Her testimony about, we were driving in the car, and what were you doing? I was looking out the window. Miss McCabe was looking out the window. What was
Karen
Ms. Reed doing?
Frantic, and she was yelling. I don't even remember at this point what she was yelling, but she was yelling. She had an elevated voice. She would be in between us while I was driving, and she would sit back in the back seat, then be in between us.
Did you have any words with Miss Reed?
I told her to shut up several times because I was trying to drive. I couldn't concentrate.
How often was the yelling on the way to Fairview?
Oh, several times. It was like you couldn't control her, and I was trying to drive in a blizzard.
I don't know about you, Carrie Roberts, but most people, when people behave that way, it's because they're fucking terrified. The dread that she felt was getting worse and worse by the fucking minute, and nobody else seems to understand it. They just seem to think she's crazy. If there were more empathetic people involved here, or at least if Carrie Roberts was an empathetic person, shit might not have gotten this far. Jen McCabe calls her a lunatic, keeps screaming Jen, and just like with Carrie Roberts' husband, her screaming through the phone woke Matt McCabe, her husband, up, who notoriously said, please tell her to shut up. She's going to wake up the whole neighborhood. How can you fucking say that in open court and look so smug and happy with yourself? No, they didn't get woken up by a phone ringing. They made it a point in both the trials, and they're going to do it when Jen comes up, and they're going to do it when Matt comes up. Watch. They'll make it a point that she was screaming so loud through the fucking phone that she woke up the husband. 2 of the husbands now. And I say to that, so fucking what? If you're in a more panic that someone's dead, which she clearly was, and she said over and over again, but these people seem to think that's consciousness of guilt because she thought he was dead. It's unfucking believable the mind fuck these people are doing. And Carrie Roberts, I'm going to tell you something. I question how she got involved. I do. She's testifying it's because Karen called her, but she seems like she's in love with John. I'm just going to say it. Just all the Canton housewives in that area, obviously, bachelor cop, adopts his orphaned sister's kids, live in La Vida Loca in Canton. His house is big, Carrie Roberts said. She went to prom with him in junior prom. Some people hold torches for the rest of their lives over shit like that. Who knows? But in my opinion, she was in love with him. The fact that she inserted herself into this case so much, in my opinion. Even her husband was like, what are you doing? Where are you going? I have to go find John. Okay, did Karen actually ask her to go there? But her husband's like, what the fuck are you doing? Stop it. Like, let them figure it out. It's snowing. And she's like, no, I have to go. And then she tells us how she sat in her car for like 10 minutes. She says, warming it up. No, you said it was auto start. You could have auto started it and sat in the house with your husband, but you didn't. She could have called you when she got there. You could have warmed it up and went back in the house. No, that's weird. Okay. In my opinion, her husband didn't want her to get involved, and she had to get involved because She either is that type of person or she feels a certain way about John and always has. Then, I mean, there's so much stuff. How about this one? The total lie about this. She said, well, then I wanted to drive the O'Keefes to the hospital because it was a really bad storm and they don't have four-wheel drive. Bitch, full on lie. You're all cap with that. Mrs. O'Keefe said she has four-wheel drive, that they have four-wheel drive. They're fully capable of driving themselves. Once again, you wanted to insert yourself into this case. In my opinion, that's what it looks like from the outside, girlfriend. So I'm just saying. Throughout the story, telling stories about Karen screaming, you know, I'm just picturing, literally, I have a picture in my head of Karen running around in circles and like howling at the moon. I really do. That's what these people want you to think. But here's the thing. She lost somebody she loved. She loved him. They had a fucked up relationship. A lot of people do, but she loved him. It doesn't mean she loved him any less. She loved him. And she knew before they found him she was dead. Of course she did. She can't say that, or hope she didn't say it, just because they'll use that against her. When you wake up in the morning and your loved one isn't there, and you know damn well that they're not going to do that unless they're dead or in the hospital or in prison, that's a real thing. That's a real fucking feeling. And then you kind of get all worked up and you go downstairs and then, you know, they're making coffee. You're like, oh, you're lucky. You're fucking lucky. You know what I'm saying though, right? So she knew when she woke up after she had told John in one of her last texts that she was leaving, that she was going home and the kids would be there by themselves. And that was the last text. She probably passed out. And when she woke up and his ass wasn't there, oh, she wasn't mad at him anymore. She was fucking panic stricken. Now she was praying he was just with some girl and fell asleep. But no, she knew better. She knew that he wouldn't even choose some girl to sleep with or whatever. Maybe over her, but not over his kids. He would never do that. She knew already. So when she calls you up, Carrie Roberts, or she calls you up...
I think he got hit by a plow. He did not come home last night. He would never not have come home. I wasn't supposed to stay in Canton, and Kaylee was here. He would never leave Kaylee by herself.
So she calls you up, and she's fucking screaming hysterically and can not barely speak. It's because she already knows something fucking horrible has happened. And you guys want to be mean girls over there, Housewives of Canton, and just be like, oh, I don't know what she's getting so worked up about. I know, she's probably just like, whatever. You people completely lack the ability to read another person's energy or feeling. Like zero ability. You gave zero fucks. Even when Jen McCabe made that 911 call. Not even about what she said. It was the tone. It was her voice. It almost sounded like she was whispering. Why? Because she didn't want to say it. You know, Hank Brennan does this a lot in this trial. He asks the witnesses questions or he shows things that ultimately end up providing reasonable doubt. It's crazy. He keeps fucking doing this. So even the I hit him part, I didn't twist it around in my head enough to realize it. They should be like, yeah, she said it. She did. She said a lot of shit that day. She was calling him her husband. And that's clearly not true. She thought that she had her period. She was sitting in the back of a cab and she had blood on her hands and she thought it was her period. Yeah. So clearly she wasn't in her right fucking mind during that moment. Excited utterances, right? So yeah, maybe she said it. She doesn't remember it, but you want to go with it, fine. Who gives it? We don't care. We don't care because she said a lot of crazy shit that morning. She actually even said she wanted to fucking kill herself. Okay? So yeah, she was kind of off. She was having an off moment. But all these people just think she's fucking nuts. Or at least Jen cast the spell on them. Or somebody does. Somebody that it's a quid pro quo where they better shut the fuck up and keep their head down. Or we're going to tell them about this. The games they play. It's not all 70, 80 people on a conspiracy. Carrie Roberts isn't in a conspiracy. Carrie Roberts is in this because of her own ego. That's why she's in this. Solely because of her own ego. And it's similar to that woman, John's like high school sweetheart, who looks like somebody who lost their loved one out to sea. Every time I see her picture and the forlorn look of her holding John's photo, she wasn't even married to the man. This was like another girlfriend from years ago, stepping in for the attention and to play the grieving widow part, even though she was never married to him and hasn't dated him in probably over a decade or two. That's fucking weird. But what it does is it points out a pattern. Do you guys see the pattern? John has like groupies. Even in death, he has groupies. And Carrie Roberts is a John groupie. And that Kerrigan, Miss Kerrigan's a John groupie. And Jen McCabe can't be a John groupie. She just can't. Sorry, John. She loved you, but you weren't family. She must have done it because she's running in her shoes. And then they make it seem nefarious. Like, well, what was she doing? She was just standing there in John's room. Yeah, she's crazy. She's useless. She doesn't care. She was probably like looking for something like ring footage to delete, like they try to accuse Mr. Reed of. The fuck out of here. Oh my God. They think we're conspiracists. They think we are. And yet they believe this shit. Everything that they're using as an accusation against her could be flipped and used as a defense. Yeah, she was running around crazy, saying, I hit him. Could I have hit him? I don't fucking know if I hit him. Yeah. If you just lost a loved one or you're almost positive the person's dead, they better be dead in that way. You know how it's like that serious at that point. Everybody's had a moment like that in their life. Think about it. It doesn't happen that often. But when it does, it's terrifying. And that's where she was coming from. And she may have even felt it was her fucking fault for leaving him at that fucking party. That would be a totally normal, valid feeling and not at all be consciousness of guilt. It's just like common sense. I love when Brennan says to her, well, that night, or that day, you saw the cracked tailpipe. Yes, I did.
You were asked whether or not you told people on January 29th about the missing pieces to the defendant's taillight. And you began to say you didn't tell anybody that morning.
I didn't think it had anything to do with John. I didn't want to point fingers at anybody.
Why not?
Because I had no idea what had happened to him. I wasn't going to point fingers at his girlfriend.
Because I didn't want to accuse anybody or point fingers. I didn't think anybody did. I didn't think she did something like that. You know why she didn't think that? Because Jen McCabe didn't plant her fucking tentacles into her fucking brain yet. Nobody fucking thought that. The first responders didn't think that. The cops didn't fucking think that. Not at first. Nobody fucking thought that. If anybody thought that, she would have been arrested. If anybody thought that, she would have been arrested. Not about, oh, they got to save the patient first. No, a cop would have interviewed her on the scene. Ma'am, excuse me, what are you saying? I was here last night. Oh my God, my taillight, I must have cracked it. I think I hit him. Cop's not going to blow that off. And yes, EMS doesn't pay attention so much during that. But if somebody is screaming, I hit him, and you think that they're confessing to murder, and there's no cop there, you're going to either tell one of your friends, the paramedic or the firefighter, or, once the patient is stable, you'll get on your little walkie-talkie. You will fucking do something. You will not just drive away and not worry about it, because that's not my job. I only look at medical stuff. Not possible. Nope. It's all one big line of bullshit. All of it. The shoe story. Yes, that's actually what brought me on. The shoe story. Okay, and here's the last piece. Watch this clip.
Oh.
Had you ever seen anybody wear shoes in his house?
No.
You and Miss McCabe?
They do now. They do now.
I see. You and Miss McCabe took your shoes off?
She's referring to the fact that the people who live in John's house now, which is his niece and nephew and Mrs. O'Keefe, at least those three, that they wear their shoes in the house now. That's what she just told us. That the people who live in the house wear the shoes in the house now. And apparently so do the guests. And you know what? It bothers Carrie Roberts. I can tell by the way she answered it. She felt the need to say it, and she said it twice. She wants people to know because she doesn't like it. And I personally believe that's because, like I said earlier in the video, that she's in love with John. Think about it. Let's say you lost a loved one. Maybe it's a parent or something, and you know that they never, ever, ever liked it when the toilet paper roll was the wrong way. You know how people argue about which way, is it over or under? That they only liked it when it was over. It had to be over all the time. You're in their house, you're going to make sure the toilet paper roll is just like that. It's like sort of honoring the person, you know? Like they still like that. That's still a little piece of them. And that's a fucking toilet paper roll. We're talking about an actual fucking house where the man did not let his kids or anyone, family, wear their shoes in it. Which, P.S., by the way, that's actually really cool. If you ever think about the shit that you step in and outside, it could be actual shit or worse or something. And then you walk into your house and you walk all over the carpets. Do you ever think about sitting on those carpets? Especially if you have kids. You should definitely... I'm just a big believer in that. It's not even a pain in the ass, honestly. But you get my point, right? They're not doing that shit anymore. Knowing that that's the way he is, it makes sense about the grass, too. He's the type of person, he has some rigid mindset when it comes to certain things. And that's not a bad thing, as long as it's not in all things. But he took pride in his lawn, and he did not want kids cutting through his fucking lawn. And if he had to tell a kid more than once or twice, I bet he would get pissed just like any other person would. I used to get yelled at as a kid when I ran through people's lawns. And they weren't teasing me. They were not fucking teasing me. They were pissed. So that whole thing about how, oh, it was a joke, it was a joke. He didn't mean to scare him. He brought him candy. Fucking bullshit. Bullshit. Mr. Nevercracker. Giving him the finger while they're straddling his fence. We're not stupid. It's interesting on its face just to know that they don't do that anymore while they're still living in that house. And I'm not saying that makes them bad people or whatever. I'm just saying it's interesting because I think a lot of times people will honor that tradition and sort of in a respect for that person. And, you know, it's interesting that Carrie Roberts felt the need to say it not once but twice. And the look on her face was like, can you believe this shit? Yeah, that's my take on Carrie Roberts today anyway. Peace.